Today I'm living in Chandler, Arizona. This story takes me back to when I was around 17, deeply entrenched in my gaming phase while still residing with my parents. I spent a significant amount of time playing Call of Duty on my computer in my room,
Let's do this.
especially during the scorching summers when staying indoors with air conditioning was my preference. Being the last one to move out while my parents were frequent travelers, I often had the place to myself. On this particular Friday night or a school-free evening, I recall staying up late after school to submit a paper due that night. Following that, I had to run some errands, per my mom's instructions, as they would be away for a while. This was how I contributed to the household according to my dad. They left cash for me to use, but I had to show them the receipts to ensure I wasn't pocketing any extra money. My mom provided a shopping list, and off I went to Whole Foods in my old Camry, my first car. Shopping took about an hour door to door. While at the grocery store, a guy in line behind me struck up a conversation, commenting on one of the items I was purchasing. It felt a bit strange as he kept talking, solely focused on me while I was bagging my groceries. Nevertheless, I maintained politeness, bid him a good one, and left. Once I packed my trunk in the parking lot, I headed home on that scorching June day, uninterested in venturing outdoors further. By the time I finished everything and it had grown dark, I promptly resumed playing Call of Duty,
Let's do this.
Black Ops on my computer, texting my friend Johnny to join in. As usual, we indulged in team deathmatch. Equipped with my noise-canceling Logitech headset, we were committed to an all-night gaming session, aiming to rank up. About 2 hours into the gameplay, I informed Johnny of my dinner break, planning to return in an hour. He mentioned he'd do the same. Downstairs in the kitchen, I heard what seemed like a thump from upstairs. Unsure if it was a footstep or something else, I locked the front door. I had previously been lax about leaving it unlocked, believing our neighborhood was safe. It's the sort of thing you hear about on the news, but never anticipate happening to you. Upstairs, I called out my brother Tristan's name, though I knew he wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know why, but some sound prompted me to check if anyone was present. Receiving no response, I returned to my room and resumed gaming. I put my
Let's do
headset
this.
back on, texting Johnny about my return, and we resumed our gaming session. After a couple of games, I glanced left towards my room's doorway, peering into the hallway. Something in my peripheral vision, or some inexplicable sense, made me notice the door was slightly ajar. I often left it open when alone at home following my mom's advice. The hallway appeared dark, except for the faint glow of a nightlight plugged in near my room, casting a blue hue on the wall. The darkness outside that thin crack unnerved me momentarily, but I dismissed it. During our downtime in the lobby between games, Johnny mentioned taking a restroom break and walked away. Glancing back to the hallway after checking my phone, I noticed a change. Now, I could see through the crack into the hallway. Instinctively, I spun my chair around, facing the bed behind me, only to find a man seated on it, with an unnaturally upright posture and hands resting on his thighs. He almost appeared to be smiling. Startled, I leaped out of my seat onto the desk, causing my monitor and everything else to tumble. I shouted, demanding to know what he wanted. His smile widened, showing his teeth as if laughing. Terrified, I sprinted out of the room into the hallway, halting halfway and glancing back at my bedroom door. I heard the springs of my bed creak, and the man slowly emerged into the doorway, standing there. Once again, I yelled, asking his intentions. He spoke in a slow, stuttered voice, asking if he could join in. When I asked how he entered, he pointed downstairs, implying he came through the front door. Panic-stricken, I rushed downstairs to the landline, my cell still upstairs. Grabbing the phone and a kitchen knife, I screamed at him to leave, threatening to call 911. I heard footsteps descending the stairs, catching a glimpse of the man as he passed the kitchen, gazing at me before walking out through the front door. Locking it for the first time, I felt ashamed for leaving it completely unlocked. I held the phone for a few moments, contemplating whether to inform my parents. Eventually I did. Initially concerned, my mom grew furious and handed the phone to my dad. He instructed me to search the house to ensure nothing was missing. I scoured every room, and everything seemed intact. The man seemed off, not overtly hostile, but something about him was deeply unsettling. The image of him sitting on my bed and the realization that he had been watching me through that crack haunted me. If you liked this story, subscribe to the channel to stay tuned. During my middle school and early high school years, I struggled to communicate with girls. Although I was outgoing and had friends, I lacked confidence in approaching girls romantically. I felt pressured by friends who boasted about their experiences with girls, while I had never kissed anyone. I was heavily into gaming, spending hours playing console and MMORPG games like GTA 4, Call of Duty, and an online game called Ganu. In Ganu, I befriended a player named Medusa, who was higher level than me. We'd team up in the game and chat for hours. We exchanged details about our lives, including our ages and the fact that we both lived in New York State. Eventually, after exchanging pictures, things became more flirtatious and we discussed meeting in person. I eagerly planned for her visit when my parents would be away for a weekend. I waited anxiously for her arrival, but when she messaged saying she was there, I found no one at the door. Confused, I received another message, and this time I saw a stranger at the door, claiming to be Medusa. Terrified, I retreated, realizing the person I'd been chatting with was a creepy grown man. I panicked, trying to reach my brother, who finally answered. He rushed home with his friends and we confronted the stranger outside. The man defended himself, stating concerns for my safety, but then sped away when confronted. My brother and his friends ensured he'd left and protected me from a potentially dangerous situation. It was a disturbing revelation to realize that the person I thought was a girl my age was, in reality, a deceitful adult. Although it was a humiliating and frightening experience, I was grateful for my brother and his friends' immediate support, preventing a potentially dangerous encounter. Last week, something pretty wild went down. Just so you know, I had recently quit playing Fortnite, but that's not super crucial to the story. It was May 2021, and Fortnite had already seen a bunch of people bail on the game. My buddy Brandon suggested I try out Apex Legends and play together. I had the game downloaded, but hadn't played since it first came out. My skills were pretty terrible, and I only had the starting Legends Pathfinder and Bloodhound because I figured they were the best to start with. I was home alone while my parents were out for a late anniversary dinner, and my brother was at a friend's place. I was gaming with Brandon when he suddenly got a text from a random number. "Dude, what the heck? I just got a weird message," he said. "What's it say?" I asked. He read it. "Look out the window." "Don't look out the window," I cautioned. "Dude, there's nothing there," he replied. "No," he says, "look out your window," I said, feeling a little spooked. I glanced at each of the 5 windows in the room, trying to figure out which one to check. Finally, I spotted a figure outside one of them, facing away. I didn't think much of it since the person wasn't looking in. Brandon got another text, his tone changing. "Luke, I'm serious. There's someone outside your window," he warned. "I just saw him, but he's looking the other way," I explained. "He just took a picture of you at the window looking clueless," Brandon told me, getting increasingly concerned. "Call the cops and get out of there," he urged. Then he abruptly went silent, and I noticed he'd left the gaming session without his usual goodbye. Oddly, he was still playing Apex in another match. Confused, I received a party invitation from Brandon, but when I joined, there was a deeper voice on the mic. It ordered me to come outside, threatening to come in otherwise. It wasn't Brandon's voice, it sounded like a grown man. Looking back at the window, I saw the guy pounding on it ferociously. His face was twisted, hands bleeding as he smashed the glass. Panic set in. My phone was nearly dead at 1% and I could barely get a call out. I managed to inform the emergency line about the intruder. As the guy persisted, I realized our windows had screens. How was he breaking through without cutting them? The glass began to crack and I yelled threats through the opening. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, desperate to defend myself. With my phone about to die, I called 911, repeating the situation. I ran upstairs, locking myself in a bathroom, leaving doors open to mislead the intruder. When I heard footsteps, terror consumed me. I searched for a weapon, but was caught in the bathroom by the intruder. Sirens outside signaled the cops' arrival. and the guy fled but was swiftly caught. Later, I realized I'd encountered this guy in Apex just before all this. He'd somehow tracked me down. It's insane how some people can't handle losing in a game and resort to real-life threats. The police took the guy away, but it was a chilling reminder of how messed up things can get over a video game. The safety of having police cars stationed at my house overnight offered some comfort after such a terrifying ordeal.